going on, Jerome's? So, I'll admit that our halftime show was a little bit emo. Like it wasn't full on, just pissed off and throwing things that the Vikings are frauds, the worst 10-3 team in NFL history. Even though we did ask that question, I think it was relatively fair at the time. But the Vikings roared back, got it done. The greatest comeback in NFL history, coming from 33 down in the second half to win in overtime, 39-36, and I, they're really you really run out of ways to explain a game. And the Vikings have never played a normal game. And it's just insane that Bills comeback, 17 points in the third quarter on the road, is like, oh, that's child's play. No problem, man. But, all right, so we do have 10 takeaways from the game. Number one, yes, the Vikings have never played a normal game. And everyone and their mom writing the Vikings off at halftime. Oh, they're frauds. The Lions are going to go 4-0. The Vikings are going to go 0-4. Detroit's going to win the division. Vikings be a wild card. Bounce be a one and done. All that stuff, right? All that stuff. But they put together a couple drives in the second half. They got some things going. The defense really stepped up. And all of a sudden, guess what? They're back in that game. I mean, when it became a two-possession game in the third quarter, you're thinking, it's like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And I truly do believe that the Vikings being in so many close games and coming out on top the majority of the time, I mean, I think that certainly helped them. That certainly helped them this season where, hey, the chips are down. We're down. Doesn't really matter how we got here. Let's just make one play. Number two, the entire officiating crew needs to be fired. So the Vikings winning is going to gloss over the fact that this was the most atrociously officiated game that I've ever seen. I have ever seen. So first off, well, two Shondon Sullivan fumble returns for touchdowns were completely wiped off the board. The whole Pittman forward progress, even though they blew that whistle so damn fast. And the second one was just absolutely ridiculous, where the ball was clearly out, but they ruled the runner down. Shondon picked it up, he ran it in, and it's... Oh, by the way, that's 3 touchdowns. I mean, if you go back to Justin Jefferson stepping out of bounds, that's 3 touchdowns that officials have cost the Vikings over the last 2 games. And also the whole face mask on Chris Boyd on the long Jalen Reagor return, where it's just, where was it? That it's the only face mask call on a team returning a punt in NFL history. I mean, yes, the Vikings won, but they should have won in regulation. They should have won pretty comfortably. So this entire officiating crew, they need to be looked into, and they need to be fired. Next up, number 3, it was the worst first half in NFL history. It really was. Division on the line, at home, national television, and you go down 33-0 to a 4-8-1 team with an interim head coach who was literally on the sofa a couple weeks ago in your building. No, it's just ridiculous. Kevin O'Connell did not have this team ready to go. A couple things did not go their way, and it really just snowballed. But number 4, don't stop believing. I mean, because they were blaring Journey's "Don't Stop Believing" over and over and over inside US Bank Stadium, and this team fought, they clawed, they had that dog in them, and 36-3 in the second half, and then they won in overtime. It's just absolutely stunning. And also, how do you just not get good vibes from this, man? And this team has been doing it all season long. 5, the defense made plays when they needed to. Respect. The defense is still far from perfect. I think that at times it looks old, slow, and the scheme is not helping anybody. But they allowed 3 points in the second half in overtime. So 40 minutes of football, 3 points. That's pretty damn good. Now, should they have allowed that many in the first half? Probably not, especially since the Colts were averaging 12 points a game on the road. But whatever there. Number 6, this is Kirk Cousins' finest hour. And we said that Kirk was dealing against the Lions. This might have been Kirk Cousins' best game. 460 yards passing, which is a career high, 4 touchdowns. And by the way, he did it with 7 sacks. And yeah, he made mistakes. The Reagor interception wasn't on him, but the pick 6 early on certainly was. But Kirk, he didn't flinch. He didn't blink. Like, he was getting beat up back there, but he was still dropping dimes, making some key throws, and just getting it done. Number 7, speaking of getting it done, so JJ and KJ didn't quit. And respect to KJ Osborne, man. This was his best game, and he was the guy who was starting to make plays in the second half. When everyone was crying in the breast milk, when all the chips were down, and everyone was just feeling sorry for themselves, KJ was the guy who stepped up. 10 catches for $157. Justin Jefferson, 12 for 123 and 1, even though Stephon Gilmore tried to dirtily take him out of the game. Just going up top, yes. Number 8, the special teams are abysmal in the first half. So our guy, Fadi, block punt for a touchdown. They had a big, bad fake punt. Also allowed a big kick return to start things off for the game. They did tighten things up a little bit, but it was just an abysmal first half for the third phase. And then Ryan Wright, I mean, that punt at the end where coffin corner, 64-yarder down to the 2, just amazing, man. Amazing. And lastly, also it's awesome that everyone is contributing on offense. Hawkinson caught the 2-point conversion and was moving the chains. Thielen was starting to get loose in the second half. And Dalvin, of course, with the long touchdown run. I mean, this team just did not quit. And it's tough to beat a team that does not quit. And that has to stick in the back of everyone's mind. Like, once you get into the playoffs, tough teams, maybe they'll get a lead on the Vikings, but the Vikings, they ain't going to quit. They'll get a stop. They'll get the ball back. They'll score. They'll stop you again. They'll bounce will go their way finally. The refs might actually call an accurate game, and then the Vikings have an advantage. So who knows? Lastly, the Vikings have secured the NFC North. Took a long way, but the Vikings, 11-3, they got it done. They're NFC North champs. They will be hosting a playoff game. They stay ahead of the Niners for the 2 seed. And if the Niners win out, the Vikings win out, the Vikings still remain the 2 seed. 2 seed is important because you get 2. You're guaranteed 2 home playoff games if you win wild card weekend. So we'll just go from there. But honestly, just exhausted, man. Just like running out of words. I mean, this team, this friggin' team, man. Anyways, Skull production value.